Hi internet friends! It is finally time for my favorite video of the year, and that is fall fashion trends. Some people like to build their personality around Halloween time, pumpkin spice lattes. Me, I just like fashion in general, okay? I just want to know what is trending, what's gonna be big, what is the internet zeitgeist telling me about fashion trends? Well, today I'm gonna break it down. I'm also gonna break down some ideas for you so you can leave this video prepared, knowing what's gonna be on trend, as well as some style ideas and some easy ways to break down these fashion trends. So without further ado, let's jump into this. The first trend on this list is interesting necklines. I personally love this because anytime I have long hair, and trust me, I've gone back and forth, I've done the short bob and I've done the long hair, but anytime I have long hair, I love tucking it in to anything that has like a mock neck or an interesting neckline, and that seems to be everywhere right now. Interesting necklines, but most importantly, that like chunky mock neck. And it seems to be not a structured mock neck. I think it needs some interesting character to it where it kind of slouches and goes off to the side. It's not quite cowl neck, it's not quite mock neck, it's just this like marriage of the two worlds. It has a little bit of slouch, it has a little bit of ruffle, it has a little bit of structure. That seems to be the match made in heaven. Next up are two color tones that I am seeing everywhere, and that is green and burgundy. Green, I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking brat summer, you're thinking lime green, or like a very vibrant pop of green, but it needs to be a very muted green, similar to what I have on right now. And the red tone seems to be burgundy. This is the least shocking trend of them all because it seems like around this time of year, burgundy red always comes back around. But I think during the summertime, we saw really bold pops of red. And now going into fall, autumn tones, you tend to see those more muted color tones start to pop in, and burgundy seems like it's gonna be that dominating color, which I have no complaints about because I think burgundy is a fantastic investment for any wardrobe. I think it's something that you can get that longevity out of, and it just will always have a very rich tone to it, no matter the amount of wear you bring into it. Although these are two very harmonious colors together, sometimes they are a little bit challenging to make cohesive. I think a lot of times the best way to do this is green with a very subtle hint of burgundy. I think separately though, both color tones are very much fall time appropriate. I think burgundy and camel tone goes so well together and has such a rich look. My rule of thumb is to always stay within the wheelhouse of color tones. So if you're pastel, you go with pastel. If you are jewel tone, you go with jewel tone. I do have to say a quick thank you to Quince for working with me on this video. They sent me a couple style pieces to test out, and one of them being this dress that I have on right now. The moment I saw it, I thought it was going to be the perfect tone of green for my wardrobe. It's a great addition. This dress is the cotton cashmere ribbed sleeveless midi dress in olive green. I also got this water repellent windbreaker jacket that you all know I already did the research on this video, so I knew this mock neckline was going to be a win-win situation. Not only is it water repellent, and as somebody who is pretty obsessed with theme parks and also lives in Florida, getting something that was water repellent was top of mind. Speaking of theme parks, I also did this all day neoprene belt bag. I love the versatility of this. Not only can I wear it as kind of a fanny pack style, but also a crossbody shoulder. Last but not least are these Berlin polarized acetate sunglasses. I have quickly become obsessed with Quince's sunglasses. They are super affordable, and the fact that they're polarized and they're great quality, it is just such a win-win situation. Thank you again, Quince, so much for working with me on this video. I absolutely love all of the pieces, and I highly, highly, highly recommend, if you're not already obsessed with Quince, please jump on board and be sure to check out their website. Next up are capes and jackets that you can bundle yourself up in. It seems to be everything that you can just like, ooh, wrap yourself and get super cozy in. Capes are a personal favorite of mine, especially someone who has been a thrifter and a lover of vintage fashion for as long as I have been. Capes are one of those pieces that always comes back around at some point in time in each decade, and I think this is the point that we're really going to start seeing capes emerge. There are so many affordable vintage options on the market, and I think if you want something with a little bit more character, I would say go the vintage route. Not to mention you're gonna get the quality because it's gonna be typically 100% wool, but there are always really good options on the market. If I can make make any sort of solid recommendation, especially for this current trend cycle, I would say go with anything that has a scarf attached to it, because I think that's really what this trend is all about, is it's about the layering and it's about bringing that almost undone structure to it. I think it's safe to say Chloe is to thank for this trend. This is by and far one of the greatest trends that I am seeing coming out of full-time style. If I could make any recommendations, especially piggybacking off of the fact that burgundy and green are the colors of the season, I would say go for something that is a khaki or a muted tone. Those combined together are always going to be a win-win and are going to marry and look so cohesive in any wardrobe. Next up is fancy Western. The Western trend is just not going anywhere. It has been holding strong for, I'm not kidding, like the last 4 years, I feel like. It's even more interesting to see it on the fall side of things, because a lot of times this trend will creep back in when it comes to like spring, summer because of festival season. But right now it seems to be a little bit more of like an elevated Western trend. So we're not talking sequin Western like we see during the summertime. We're seeing like a very polished looking Western. Think like fancy fringe, maybe something that's like a burgundy red jacket with some fringe built into it. Let's go ahead and marry that trend, but some burgundy red cowboy boots I think would be a really solid investment to bring these trends in full circle. I would say don't be afraid to marry the 90s trend with the fancy Western trend, and it goes together so well. A good pair of denim, not skinny jeans, they have to be 100% cotton, but tight fitting jeans, that with cowboy boots, fancy Western in my book, all the way. Next up is another trend that just keeps cycling back around, but again, it's gonna be the make it fancy version of it, and that is leopard print or just animal print in general. But I think the leopard and animal print that we've seen in the past that feels like very pumpkin spice latte-ish is a thing of the past. I think now we're seeing a lot more of an elevated trend or version of it. Think like a leopard maxi skirt, or I love those voluminous sleeve leopard print tie front tops. I think that is a very polished look. Just think different structures and different types of leopard print, which I think is a very fine line to navigate, because leopard can go tacky very easily, but it also can go polished very easily. I think the trick is doing very small doses of it. You don't want to go full-blown leopard print unless you're going for a very fun avant-garde look. I really think if you want to master this trend without going too overboard, the idea is going small. It's going a little bit more muted, which is weird to say because leopard print really is not muted. I really think the safe bet is playing the trend small. I think something like a classic button-down cardigan, leopard pants, and a good pop of red burgundy shoes is a masterpiece of an outfit and still has odes of all of these trends, but keeps it classic and timeless. This is something that will stay in your wardrobe forever, and that's always the most important part. Next up is the wet leather look. This is another one that I really think we can thank the vintage trends of the past for reinfusing this into our look. Wet leather has been something that has cycled in since the late 50s, early 60s. We've seen it in so many different iterations. I do think, again, the trick with this one is the less is more, unless, again, you're going for the full-blown avant-garde look. You really want to stick to just a wet leather look pencil skirt. Even though this is on the trend list, this is something that I personally won't be investing in, just because as someone who researches a lot of fashion trends, I do see this one going in and out so much. It's not something that has very long-term staying power, and I do try and avoid, unless I fall in love with something that is specifically from the thrift store and I'm not investing a lot of money in, I do try and stay away from trends like that, just because I don't think they cycle through very well. But if this is a trend that has been in your wardrobe for ages and you have found ways to implement it, then by all means enjoy this trend. It's just something that for me personally, it's not something that I feel like I can get my full money's worth out of, and that is so important when you're looking at fashion trends and trying to understand what's gonna last you long term. Next is outside of the box basics. I think we saw this with spring trends as well, where you took the trench coat but you kind of elevated it. It's just the idea of taking classic pieces and just adding your own punch to it. For instance, the trench coat, doing a classic long line duster trench coat never hurts, but sometimes it's fun to infuse something into your wardrobe that has a little bit more character to it, and I think that's the whole point of this trend. This is one of those trends that can be interpreted in any way that you want to, and I think it's important not to lose sight of that because it's really what speaks to you. Does a fringe Western jacket sound like a good investment? Then that's your outside of the box purchase. Does a tartan plaid cape sound like a good investment? Then that's your out of the box purchase. What speaks character into your wardrobe and what's something that you know is just that slight tweak of an element that your wardrobe is missing, that you can use the entirety of your fall time wardrobe to reinterpret different outfit ideas. If a floral trench coat sounds like it's that missing piece, that missing element in your wardrobe, then that's the piece that you should have the most fun with. This is one of those under the radar trends, something that I did not see a lot of websites talking about. There was only one website in particular, and it was covering all of the fashion trends that you saw on the runway as opposed to street style. And I think it's important to kind of gauge both of those atmospheres as far as understanding trends goes. Wallpaper florals. This is the first time I've heard that specific verbiage for the trend, and I think it's really interesting because, again, going back to my vintage knowledge, but it's always been really important to understand how to describe certain floral types. So for instance, watercolor florals is a thing, cabbage floral is a thing, garden party floral is a thing. So to hear wallpaper floral is really interesting to me. Personally, the first thing that comes to mind is Kim Kardashian and her couch floral design. It's a hard trend to accomplish, but I think if done correctly, it can be really interesting and fun. I think the key word is done correctly. This next trend, I think we're just gonna keep seeing the ball rolling with it. It really had a strong start during spring, summer, and now barrel trend is just everywhere. It started with denim, and now it's just being used to describe anything that has a very barrel shape, which I would consider anything with strong shoulders and bat wing barrel shape. So I think it's a really good, easy way to explain any sort of outfit structure, but barrel denim is here and it's here to stay. I think considering we're seeing the verbiage trend in other areas, I really don't see it going anywhere. I think it's something that's gonna stand the test of time and we're gonna keep seeing more and more of. I think if you're doing something with very strong shoulders, it's easier to opt for something that cinches in the waist, but I do think there are gonna be iterations of like the barrel top and the barrel denim together that will just make sense and is going to be a winning factor. I think we're really only seeing that on the runway right now though, and that's why I say I am so excited to see this trend take shape over the next 6 months. I still think barrel jeans look good with just about anything though. Chunky cardigan, barrel denim, oversized blazer, barrel denim. It just is a winning look. Strong shoulder pad t-shirt, barrel denim. It's a winner. So to go more into fall time, I get the feeling like a mock neck chunky sweater with barrel denim is going to be a winning combination. I think what we're seeing the most of on this trend list is structure. Anything with really interesting structure, and I'm excited to see that, okay? We're moving on to the very last trend. The one that is so near and dear to my heart, and that is 60s mod fashion, twee fashion. But I think this is just a continuation of the old money aesthetic, the rich, quiet luxury aesthetic. It's just being reinvented in another decade or era. I'm excited to see this trend come back around because we saw this in the early 2000s, and for a really long time, it felt very dated, but I think it's something that is slowly but surely starting to regain momentum, and I love that. Anytime you see trends that once felt dated come back around and be regurgitated in a way that we can get use out of some of those pieces that have been in our closet for a really long time, to me, that's a win-win situation. That is it for today's video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and letting me break down some of these fashion trends. These are by and far my favorite videos to make because I love seeing what's up and coming, and I love thinking of new ways to style up my existing wardrobe. I think the key is just remembering that a lot of these pieces you already have in your wardrobe. It's just fun to rethink and reinvent what you have. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys are new around here, I might have a couple extra videos for you right here, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.